What's an absolute turn off about your own personality that you're aware of but can't help? I'm worried way too often that I'm annoying or bothering people and end up apologizing for it, which then actually makes me annoying. It's a vicious cycle. I interrupt people at the tail end of their stories and bring up my similar experiences in a way that can come off as one-upping when really I don't have anything to add and just don't want to say nothing, but I've gotten much better with that. I still do have a tendency to interrupt and notice I'm doing it every time, which leads to lots of awkward apologies at the end of a conversation. My face gives away exactly what I'm thinking. I feel you. If I don't like someone, something, the other person and the people around me will notice. Never play poker. Overthinking and stressing easily. Overthinking leads to becoming stressed, which often leads to me losing control over what situation I'm in, which then leads me to panic because I lost control. I want people to like me, and think of 100 reasons why they don't when I don't feel a connection. I basically can't just chill without thinking the worst. I am pretty sarcastic, but I'm a pretty monotone person, so people tend to think I'm being serious at times where I'm really not. It sucks because I find my sense of humor hilarious and usually make jokes because I find them funny, but they come off to other people as me being clueless when I'm just being sarcastic. I turn into my mother and smother people. I realize I'm doing it, but I can't seem to stop myself. For example, oh, you're going out? Don't forget your coat. You should get to bed soon if need to be up early. Did you get something to eat? You should grab a bite. A friend once looked me in the eye and said, hey, I'm an adult. I'm quite able to make all my own decisions and pay the consequence for those decisions. Ouch, that one stung a bit, but it all comes from a good place. Oh, I have a friend like that. I love her a lot, but the smothering does get annoying sometimes. That one time I tried to fill a plastic bottle on a public fountain, and I fidgeted a bit before I got the bottle in the right position. She, having as little experience as I had, took the bottle out of my hand and did it herself. I am crap at receiving compliments because I don't like myself and always feel like I could do better even though I do nothing. Can make me sound arrogant or condescending when someone compliments me and I reject it or just passively ignore it. Just say thank you with a smile that you're thankful for what they said, but not a big grin where your self-esteem depends on their compliment. I constantly need to be assured that the person is into me. I have abandonment issues that have made me quite insecure. I consistently stumble halfway through a sentence and then decide to just give up and abandon the idea entirely in shame. And that's why we communicate with text. That way we can edit ourselves until it sounds right. I feel really awkward making eye contact and talking about my feelings. I tend to overcompensate for my extreme anxiety, depression, and can come across as obnoxious, and tend to overshare info. Like maybe if I'm loud enough I can drown out my inside voice. I hate answering my phone. I ignore everyone. I need a push to make anything happen in my life, and even when people are telling me to do things, I'll just put it off and off and off. I get really comfortable and then I'll never want it to change because I hate being uncomfortable. For instance, I need a new job because I'm unemployed but I don't know where to work or whether or not to just go back to school, so I'm just in a standstill and people are telling me different things and I don't know what I'm thinking, so I won't do anything. I overanalyze everything. Anything anyone says, or any look they give me, is an insult. I just have to figure out how. I have little control over my tone of voice. Sometimes it seems like I'm snapping when I'm not even upset. I'm really quiet and distant and awkward. The type that never reaches out, says yeah let's hang out but never makes plans, doesn't want to bother anyone, doesn't speak much unless spoken to, and keeps it pretty surface level. It's infuriating when I see it in other people, but I don't know how to be any other way myself, quite honestly. It's infuriating when I see it in other people. I find it even more infuriating watching myself do it. Hyper self-awareness doing its thing. Then I sink into depression and don't even know how to get out of the situation gracefully. I often repeat statements. Even when I don't, I still talk too much. I suck at telling stories, mainly because I put a lot of random details in where they don't belong. I also tend to stammer and get sidetracked. so a 30-second story takes me about 2 minutes. I suck for the opposite reason. I automatically assume they don't care about the story and are just being nice, so I speed through it quickly, leaving out important details, and trying to explain them just makes it all a big mess. I have this incessant need to be right. It isn't that I can't admit when I am wrong. I'm totally down with that. But if I'm right, I won't let go until you cave and admit that I was right. I thought I was wrong once, but I was mistaken. I have an addictive personality, so I get addicted to things, habits, situations, people etc easily, but it only lasts a season then I move to a new addiction. This is why I've never allowed myself to try hard drugs. I can relate to this, but I've always said I have an obsessive personality rather than addictive. I'll get completely obsessed with a thing for months or even years and then suddenly just drop it and never look back. I get incredibly grumpy for absolutely no reason. I know I'm doing it, but I can't help it. I don't want to be grumpy, but there it is. I'm really outwardly cold. I actually care about people a lot. I just avoid complimenting people so I don't seem creepy. I avoid standing close to people so I don't seem creepy. I don't jump into other people's conversations so I don't seem creepy. There's a pattern. It doesn't help that I'm a 25-year-old guy who happens to work with a bunch of underage girls. I really don't want anyone getting the wrong idea. Okay, I finish people's sentences in my head so I accidentally cut them off in the middle of their sentences. It is very rude, and I can see when I do it every time, but for some reason I can't control the impulse. I used to do this habitually, until I started to focus on it. Every time someone was telling me something, my number one priority was not physically not open my mouth until it was time for a response. It was my main conversational goal for a while. Then it became habit and now I don't even have to think about it. I love to overplan things that are totally irrelevant to the present. It drives my fiancé crazy when I'm looking up school districts for our future kids. I don't take anything seriously except the negative internal comments I make about myself. I'm crap at replying. I'm aware I do it and I know it annoys people, but when it comes to it I just cannot be bothered. It feels too draining to always be at the beck and call of other people through a phone. Honestly, I'm not sure how some people do it. I'm bad at replying as well. I just don't have the desire to be in constant communication with people. I warn people that I'm not good, but then they take it to heart when I don't get back to them right away. I can't help but give people advice or recommendations. I need to learn to just shut the frick up and listen without response. I'm too much of an idealist. I'm the sort of person who lives in a loop, either reminiscing about the past, or disregarding it and living for the future. I have a very hard time being present. I'm controlled by my emotions, but horrible at expressing them. My penchant for self-deprecation tends to make people uncomfortable. I zone out a lot, and have a hard time presenting a coherent version of myself to others. Maybe I also overthink things, just a little bit. I waste my time overthinking the negative possibilities. I seem to have no personality outside of my anxiety. My thinking face, concerned face, exhausted face, they all look like anger. Anytime I'm not smiling or laughing I look like I'm furious. I'm super chill and easygoing, and rarely actually angry at anything, but unless you knew me well you would not think that. It sucks. I frequently forget that I told someone something and repeat stories. Drives my husband insane. I'm sarcastic a lot. Sometimes I can come off as an annoying prick even to my friends, but I've been having some trouble toning it down. I'm just intensely boring. I have no desire to maintain casual conversation or tell interesting stories. I'm perfectly happy with silence and one-word answers. I don't care about the random funny thing that happened to you 3 months ago, and I don't have an equivalently interesting story to entertain you with in return. Thank God I'm already married. I'd be the worst person in the world to date. I get really angry, not at myself or any particular person, but just at things. I've gotten a lot better over the years, and I'm only 23, but it's something that I struggle with constantly. I can wake up in a good mood and everything will be fine. Spill your cereal? No biggie. But if I just feel bad that day, I can knock over a glass with nothing inside of it and absolutely lose my crap. It's mostly due to my family dynamics being raised, and I see a therapist for this among other problems. But this is the most difficult issue with myself that I'm fighting. This sort of thing makes me feel like I can't be loved. I'll freak out about something small, get all heated and red and sweaty. Then, when I calm down, I think, and this is why nobody will ever stay with you. I wouldn't want to be around me. Why would anybody else want to deal with that? I think I'm smarter than others. It's freaking annoying to always have to fight my own ego so that I don't pee off other people. I have the case of thinking I'm better than everyone, but also knowing I'm not and I won't amount to anything. You'd think it'd even itself out, but no. It's just one or the other. I feel like OP is that guy who says "well, same" to every single thing someone says reading these. I'm pretty laid back and a good listener. However, when I feel passionate about something, my body tenses, my voice raises and I get very intense. It's off-putting and I have not got it under control yet. I have diagnosed OCD and ADHD. I'm incredibly obsessed with time. I need to be on a schedule, in my head, and if anyone messes with it, I start to get really aggravated on the inside. I worked in the medical field, in direct patient care, GI department. My department had a clock in scheduled time but no clock out scheduled time. However many patients we had scheduled on any given day would determine around what time we could go home unless you had an add-on emergency case which could throw everything out of whack. I would lose my crap on the inside when that would happen because I needed to know a time I could leave. I never even had a place to go after work either. That's the problem. That's just one example of the many I can give. I wake up and know my routine like clockwork. I know exactly what time I'll leave the house, know exactly what time I'll get to the interstate, and know exactly what time I'll arrive to work. It's also the exact opposite when it's time to leave for the day also, since I now work in a different department. I don't like this part about myself because sometimes it gets out of hand. Like I get really pee off if I'm with my partner and she's holding us up for something we don't even have a scheduled time for. I don't take it out on her, but I do get visibly irritated and she knows that, so she tries to accommodate the best she knows how since she was with me through figuring out why I'm like this. Whenever someone opens up to me to vent, I end up giving loads and loads of advice with the intention of helping, but I've been made aware that it comes across as lecturing and preachy and I can't shut the frick up. I've since been learning to just listen, say MHMM and nod and just agree with whatever the other person is saying. I constantly fail at what people call being there for someone. When somebody tells me a problem, I analyze every way I think the person could fix it and report all of it to them. I'm not the best at emotional support. I can be pretty cold. I generally find it difficult to see why some people get upset about stuff that I wouldn't give a crap about. The anxieties, inevitably waiting for something bad to happen, often leads to uneasiness of others, making my anxiety worse. I am never on time. I try as much as I can to leave earlier, but I always end up late because I spend too much time doing something else. This mouse is looking for friends in the comments. Comment mouse boy to befriend him. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day, you magnificent people.